All right, let's dive into the Gospel of Mark. If you want the fast and furious version of Jesus' life, this is it. It's the shortest, most action-packed account we have, and it doesn't waste a single second getting to the good stuff. So let's get into it.
You know, if there's one word that just unlocks the whole feel of this book, it's this one: immediately. Mark uses this word, or ones like it, all the time. It gives the whole story this incredible sense of urgency, like everything is happening right now and you better pay attention. It's a story that is constantly moving forward, and it's telling you to keep up.
And that speed isn't just for show, you know? It's because Mark's focus is totally on what Jesus does. Unlike some other Gospels with these long, drawn-out speeches, Mark is all about action. It's less like a lecture and way more like a cinematic highlight reel. We're being shown his power in real time, not just told about it after the fact. Okay, so the whole story kicks off in a region called Galilee. And right from the get-go, Mark puts a massive question on the table, one that drives this whole first section. Who in the world is this Jesus?
But here's what's so cool about Mark's style. He doesn't make you wait for the answer. There's no suspense. He just drops it right there in the very first sentence. Boom! Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God. So the rest of the book isn't about figuring that out. It's about Mark proving it to us through one powerful action after another.
So how does he prove it? Well, he starts doing things that nobody else can. He's out there proclaiming the kingdom of God, he's performing these unbelievable miracles, healing people who had zero hope, and he's gathering this crew of disciples to join him. Every single action is like another piece of evidence, just building the case for who he really is.
Right. So just when you think you've got Jesus figured out, this powerful, miracle-working guy, the story takes a hard left turn. The whole vibe shifts as Jesus and his followers start this long trek south, heading straight for Jerusalem.
And this journey basically lays out the book's three-act structure for us. Act 1 was all about power in Galilee. Now we're in Act 2, the journey, where Jesus starts talking about something totally unexpected, the cross. It's all building toward this massive finale, this climax in Jerusalem. And this is the central puzzle of Mark's gospel. He introduces this radical idea of a suffering servant. I mean, can you imagine how confusing this was for his followers? They're thinking, wait, how can the Son of God, the all-powerful Messiah we've been waiting for, be destined to suffer and die? It just didn't compute.
So you get this incredible tension. On the one hand, you have the raw power of a king, divine authority, miracles, the whole deal. But on the other hand, he's walking the path of a servant, facing hardship, death, and sacrificing himself for everyone else. Mark is basically telling us that if you really want to understand Jesus, you have to hold both of these truths together.
And all of this tension, this whole king versus servant thing, it all comes to a boil when Jesus finally gets to Jerusalem. This is it, the culmination of the entire journey, where we're going to see his identity as both the powerful king and the suffering servant on full display.
That final week unfolds with that same breakneck speed we saw at the beginning. It's just event after event, bam, bam, bam. His entry into the city, the Last Supper, the brutal crucifixion. The story just barrels relentlessly toward his death. But that's not where it ends. 3 days later, we get to the empty tomb.
And the resurrection is the ultimate plot twist. It's the final piece of the puzzle that just locks everything into place. It's the definitive proof that confirms his identity as the Messiah, the Son of God. It shows that his suffering and death weren't a tragic defeat. They were the whole point. They were the victory.
So, the story of Jesus hits its climax, but Mark isn't quite done with us. Because now the focus kind of pivots from what happened back then to us, right here, right now. It asks a pretty big question. So what are we supposed to do with all this?
And you know, one of the most human and honestly encouraging parts of Mark's story is how he writes about the disciples. They are constantly confused. I mean, even after seeing all the miracles, they still struggle to get who Jesus really is. And that's so relatable, right? It shows us that having questions, even getting things wrong, is just part of the journey. And that really brings us to the core takeaway. After showing us everything, Jesus' life, his death, his resurrection, Mark issues a direct challenge. It's not just a story, it's a call to action. It's an invitation to become a disciple, to follow the path that Jesus himself walked, a path of sacrifice and service. In the end, Mark's gospel isn't just a book you read. It's a book that reads you. It starts with action, it's jam-packed with action, and it ends by challenging us to action. So the question it leaves hanging in the air is a pretty powerful one. What is your next action?